is Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome to the CBS News Minnesota Morning Update. I'm Jason DeRusha. Oh, man, hope you had a great weekend. It was terrific, wasn't it? So much sun. No top 10 weather days. Pretty stingy with the old top 10 here in the next weather department, I'll tell you that much. You know, too windy, chance for rain, blah, blah, blah. Come on, that was a top 10 weekend. I'll guarantee you that much in my book. All right, let's show you the forecast for today. This is another nice one. A bit breezy is about the only issue you'll face. High temperatures today in the low 70s. Perfect bike riding weather. Oh, it's going to be a nice one out there for sure. So enjoy it. Got to savor these days because this weekend, you know what the high is going to be on Saturday? 55 degrees. My goodness. It's my wife's birthday this weekend. She's not going to be happy. We're going to be at Minnesota Monthly's Grill Fest this weekend at CHS Field, and it's going to be back to wearing sweatshirts and sweaters. Let's talk about this, though. This weekend, it was shorts and T-shirts, that's for sure. Maybe you got out last night. It was still beautiful to enjoy last night's total lunar eclipse. So a lunar eclipse is when the moon passes between the Earth's shadow of the sun. So it looks red because the light that is getting there passes through our atmosphere, so it's sort of similar to a sunrise or a sunset. But I hope you got to get outside and see that, and I hope you got to get outside and do anything this weekend. So that's what our talker is today. That's what I want to hear from you. What did you do outside this weekend? Best thing you did outside. Were you one of the 10 million people at Bachman's like I was on Sunday? What were you doing outside this weekend? Love to hear some of it, and maybe our producer Mike Verlo, while we're doing some news, can get up my Facebook page and I can show you some pictures of what I was up to this weekend. All right, let's get you up to date on some news headlines because we begin with some breaking news that just came into our newsroom about 25 minutes ago. Governor Tim Walz taking the lead and announcing a deal that he and the two leaders of the state House and state Senate came to on spending. So they have a framework of a deal. I love a framework of a deal. But they have a framework of what to do with our $9 billion surplus. So it's a 2-year deal, and it's basically a one-third, one-third, one-third. So they put $4 billion on new spending. That money will go to education, public safety, and health care. $1 billion going to health care. Another $4 billion in tax cuts. So you heard about the checks, like sending refund checks. Maybe that'll be part of this, maybe not. They have to work out the details. And then another $4 billion for a rainy day fund. So this is a 2-year deal, covers 2 budgets. But basically they said, all right, we got to get a framework as to what we're going to do with this $9 billion you may have heard about. And so they're cutting it in thirds: spending, tax cuts, and rainy day fund. So the details to be worked out in the last week of the legislators' session, as it always is. Trial begins today. A big one we'll be watching, the trial of Gregory Ulrich. He is the guy charged with the deadly shooting spree last year inside a Minnesota health clinic. Police say he admitted it, but we'll see what happens in the trial. The Allina Health Clinic in Buffalo. The story we had heard is that he wanted meds and they wouldn't give them to him. And he was mad. And so he shot the place up, brought explosives, and set off some explosives. 1 woman was killed, 4 others hurt. And even more than that, a whole community was shaken by this. Ulrich charged with second-degree murder, attempted murder, and setting off explosives. So that trial starting today. President Joe Biden and the First Lady will go to Buffalo, New York tomorrow. My wife's family is all from Buffalo. I've been there many times. It's a great community. And they are in shock and in mourning. 10 people killed in this mass shooting that was, by all accounts, an incredible display of meticulously planned racism. Gunfire happened at a grocery store. Department of Justice says it's investigating the attack as a hate crime. This part of Buffalo is predominantly black, and there are reports that this 18-year-old sort of cased the community to find the area with the most black people possible that he could kill. They found 3 weapons, a rifle, a shotgun in the suspect's car, an AR-15 in his possession, and the N-word. You may have seen that image written on the barrel of his gun. He's in custody. He's on suicide watch. He has pled not guilty, important to note, pled not guilty to a murder charge, but a terrible tragedy. And again, questions swirling about race, about gun control, and all of that will be part of the conversation over the next week and beyond. Flags will be at half-staff in Minnesota and around the world today to honor the 1 million American lives that have been lost because of COVID-19. Governor Tim Walz issuing a proclamation. The president issued a proclamation last week, both ordering flags at half-staff through today. The governor calling the pandemic one of the most challenging periods in our state's history. The president agrees. Certainly no debate on that. Last week's heavy rain is doing sort of a strange number on our rivers. Have you seen these images? Which, by the way, visit Cook County. How funny that, like, the tourism people are sending out the images of the river. Come on up and check it out, everybody. Our rivers are out of control. Usually you see flooding because of snow melt. And this year it's the rain. So much rain. Some parks and trails are closed up in the Cook County, Duluth, up north area, so be aware of that if you're planning a road trip. In the Twin Cities, the Mississippi River in St. Paul is expected to rise another couple of feet from where it is today by next weekend. The forecast peak is 14 feet. That is, you know, that's flood. Like, that flood's kind of the usual suspects. But relatively speaking, I mean, the record was 26 feet in the 60s. That, from the stories I've read about that, was crazy. There's a lot of room in between those two. And plenty of room to do some damage, right? But for the most part, it's just your typical roads and bike paths along the river. Follow the signs. I know you may see, like, the road closed sign and think, like, I don't really see anything. Be careful. You don't want to end up with your car underwater. The price of gasoline is at a new record high. $4.48 is the national average. Does that make you feel better that we're paying $4.10? I don't think so. That's our average here. 8 cents up from a week ago. Economists say relief at the pump may depend on what happens with Russia's war in Ukraine. You know, trying to track, like, all right, how much of this is Ukraine? How much of this is supply and demand? We're producing less oil here in the U.S. right now because prices were so low. It wasn't a good business to be fracking. So supply has been down. Russia not dumping supply into the world supply of oil, so that's all part of it. So it's very complicated, but also people are, like, itching to get back on the road, and we see it in the traffic maps. Way more people are driving and going back to work in the morning, so all of this kind of part of that. This is cool, and I want you to see this new mural that is celebrating really one of the Twin Cities' greatest athletes and a woman who's been a joy to have in town for the last several years. This is in the North Loop of Minneapolis, right by Modest Brewing, and that is Sylvia Fowles. Of course, a superstar for the Minnesota Lynx. Let me show you. You can see all the fans with their cell phones. Get the picture of Syl along with that mural. She's been with the Lynx since 2015. Her last regular season home game at Target Center is going to be August 12th. So just a couple more months to catch her on the basketball court. But she has been a great, isn't that cool? Final ride with the bike with the basketballs as the wheels. Very nice. Great mural. Go check that out outside Modest, which is a great local brewery as well. So we were talking about the beautiful weekend weather. We showed you that bicycle with the basketballs. Maybe you took a ride this weekend. What's the best thing you did this weekend? Here's Jackie Martin, who watched her son and his friend ride their hoverboards. Oh, yeah. That's cool. She weeded the flower bed. They had a blast. Simon's son worked together to set up the hockey nets in the driveway. Little foot hockey there. That's fun. Here's Diana Peterson doing some yard work outside. Yep, I was out raking and planting the pots. Yep, Melody cleaned up the gardens. Yeah, everything is coming up. There was some wind. That is true. Thanks, Melody. And here's what I was doing this weekend. We were in the middle of all sorts of charity stuff. We raised about $1 million for Children's Health at M Health Fairview Masonic Children's Hospital over at the University of Minnesota. And that's my wife. And my old work wife, Jamie Yukas. There's Jamie. Along with Susan Elizabeth Littlefield. We had so much fun. A little photobomb. Sometimes you got a photobomb. Jamie co-emceed the fine wine dinner on Saturday night with me. And I also sent my oldest off to prom for the first time. My gosh. When I started here, I didn't have children. And now I have a 16-year-old who went to prom over the weekend. Pretty crazy. Was home by midnight, though. We did it right. We did it right. No trouble. No trouble. And Seth actually wore one of my tuxes, which was super funny. Oh, gosh. All right. Glad to have you with us. Hope you enjoyed the weekend and you enjoyed today, too. I know it's Monday, but you have the power to make it a great start to the week. And we'll see you back here again at 7:30 tomorrow morning.